welcome back to another episode of Out of the Blank Podcast. Longtime guest, longtime friend, longtime listener, Kasper Michaels is here. He's a professional voice actor. He's been on multiple times. Maybe I'm just getting bored, or maybe I like talking to Kasper, but it's one of the two. Maybe a little bit of both. Kasper, it's a pleasure to always have you back on the show. You're always an enjoyment to chat with. Please introduce yourself to everyone out there listening who might be new to the show.
Yes. Well, my name is Kasper Michaels. I am a professional voiceover artist. I started as an actor back in Canada. I now live in the UK, and you can hear me on Mysteries of the Abandoned at the moment. But today, Out of the Blank.
I want to message Mystery Cities Abandoned and just be like, how do you guys let this guy do my show every time? Have you guys listened to it? They're like, no, we'll go give it a look over next time. I know you send me a message. They fired me.
Man, I get the best. I get fan mail, although my fan mail is it's almost always some guy in Nebraska going, "Do you know that word is not pronounced that way?"
It's a weird thing to send a message
Well,
about.
what I will do is I'll respond. I respond to all my fan mail, all three of them, a year that come in. It's usually from the same person as well. And I'll just respond and say, "Hey, thank you very much for pointing that out. It lets me know that you're watching the show." And, there was one word. Well, macabre is one word. That's such a crappy word. It's a great word, but it's pronounced differently all over the world. Macabre. Some people say it like that. It's, like spooky, that term, like if you're macabre.
Eerie.
Yeah, that type of thing. But it's pronounced differently all over the world. And so we had to make a choice when they wrote it into the script. We went, how are we going to say this? We just went, how they say it in such and such. And we went, okay. But there's a couple words that are sort of like either and either. Doesn't matter how you say it, aunt and aunt.
Like row and then rose.
Very much like that, very much. But I sometimes get dinged on the language is constantly changing. And if one thing that Gen Alpha is doing really well, which some of the other generations didn't do,
Gen Alpha.
was, well, Gen Alpha, yeah, is they've introduced new words into the lexicon very quickly. They're changing the way we speak. Whereas we had things like do, you had from like The Simpsons or something, but the Gen Alpha has changed the way that we use tenses, and that's frustrating but awesome. Like one of the words that gets said a lot, like I was raised to say, I was cast in a play. I cast a fishing line. The term now is casted. You say, I casted it. He was casted in a play. And I just cannot wrap my head around it, but it's now officially in the dictionary. So that actually makes being a voiceover person interesting, because the language keeps changing and you're just like, are you fucking
I,
kidding me?
I gotta show you something now. So I have an accent, right?
Yes. Wow. Kind of.
It's Baltimore. So Baltimore accent. I want to show you this. There's a guy, and me and my girl were watching this show called Drewski, and he's a pretty funny guy. He's on YouTube a lot. You would like his videos, but he's a YouTube star. I usually don't give shout outs like this, but he interviews these people and does like a talent show type thing in each different state. And he went to Baltimore, and we were watching it, and it was like uploaded 2 hours ago. I was like, no way, he's in Baltimore right now. And this guy came on there, and you want to talk about languages. This guy invented his own, and it has taken the internet by storm. There's words that it sounds like, you ever play The Sims?
Yeah.
And they
Long
just start
time. Yeah.
making weird noises like
Where they all
Vladivoshina.
they kind of sounded like the teacher from Charlie Brown.
Kind of, yeah, but this is like the language for it. I was like, I don't know how this guy did this, and apparently this is how he talks. Apparently he's a barber and everything. So a bunch of people found him on Drewski, and they were all like tagging his videos and remixing it, and they're like, "No freaking way, that's my barber." I was like, so I heard this, and I was like trying to understand what it was, and the guy was like, "Are you from America?" And he's from Baltimore. It's a mix of like Baltimore with I have to
And he
play it
just
for you.
he just decided one day to make his own language.
Um, I don't know, dude. It's like slang. It's like slang, but
Yeah.
I guess it just must have formed. His friend group has to talk like this. I can't see him just magically just talking like this on his own. He's hopefully he has friends where he can.
Yeah.
But now he started a whole brand. So I just thought it was funny to see how like the tide shifted. So check this out. Ready?
Alrighty.
This is the Baltimore slang. I don't talk like this. I talk like a normal person, just with some words that sound a little different. This is it.
Wie gut, big jiggle yang gut. I ain't kinda Ermin German. What's Ermin and German?
Yeah, whatever the that means. So what, are you from America?
I'm from Baltimore, but goo high jiggle yang on a heavy goo now, but dang. You got what I earn, you got what I earn. See how I'm earning?
I'm actually very confused, sir. So does this derive from the terms they use in Baltimore with saying too?
You know what I'm saying? I just came through and changed the game, goo. It's a new Smithsonian, it's a new beginning, big bipple yip snip. You do now, but dang, to jiggle yow do now, snip bang. They know how I'm Ermin and German.
Oh man, you know what he's doing in a way.
The Bipple Yip Snip got me, and then the you know how I'm Yerman and German. That one.
It's Yerman and German, but it was right when he said that. I think I know what he's doing, but he's doing it really well. See, when I was a kid, the big thing was Pig Latin and Pig Greek and all that kind of stuff. That's what we called it. But when we were little kids, like 10 and 11, what we did so that our parents wouldn't understand what we were saying is we didn't really invent slang. We took, like, Pig Latin is you take the first letter of a word, you put it at the end of the word, and you say a after it. So if you wanted to say pig, it'd be igpay. You would say igpay. So if you were going to say the pig is at the market, igpay atpay arkatmay is what you would say. And if you keep going with that, I'm a bit out of practice, but my sisters and I used to be able to have conversations where you just doing that with all just the A. And he's doing that with those words. It's sort of like, do you remember? See, you're way too young for this, but do you remember the Name Game, the song The Name Game?
No.
The Name Game.
I'll tell you right now, if someone came up to me on the street and started doing this, I would call the police and have you arrested because I think
well, the Name Game is a thing. Let's see, how does
Hold on, I got to play one more of them.
To you do now, but dang, to the jiggle yow do now, snip bang. They know how I'm Ermin and German.
The laugh does it for me.
That's what he's doing.
You from
it's with the Name Game. You take.
Are you gonna up and
yeah. I'll send it to you later. But it's.
Oh, we'll talk about it in a second. Just wait.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Are you gonna
what the fuck is he saying?
Are you gonna now,
yeah, he's. You know what?
Hold on, Kasper.
Yeah. Tyrese ain't say those words on it. He ain't say that though. Are you remixing it into your own language? Is that what you're doing?
Danging into my own jiggle towel. I'm trying to excuse my smile.
We don't understand what you're saying.
Where I sound from, dude. Heavy dude, on dude. Appreciate you, dude. Biggest dude.
Oh man.
Dang, so I don't slurm dang again. Too many.
I don't know what that is, dude. I can tell you one thing, though. That is some Baltimore. And apparently that's with the Baltimore language. There's different regions and different areas. And since I'm kind of close, I'm in Maryland, it's a couple hours away. My family's from Baltimore. I picked up a certain classification that would put me in like one of the little more low poverty neighborhoods. And then, but it's only with certain words that I say it. Like I talk normally. I think I talk fine, but apparently everyone's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "What?" I've had speech people on here. You know, you've listened to the show. Yep. I've had speech people going, "I love your accent." I was like, "I speak American, lady. I don't know what you're talking about. It's English. It might be broken, but it's English."
I think you were exactly right. He's got to have friends he talks to that with. Either that, or if he just stands in the front of the mirror and does that, that's kind of weird. But
who's
he has to
cut hair doing that? He's a barber.
Exactly, and he's got to have people he talks to, or you got to be really committed, or just crazy. You're
just
right,
taking the straight razor. Yep, bip, whip, snip to get. Look.
I can imagine him standing behind every customer he talks to. Now, if he keeps doing that, his regular customers are going to start figuring out what he's saying. In a way, it's sort of like if you're learning a new language and you don't have any context for it, you got to figure it out, kind of thing. Like, if somebody else comes in and they're speaking Swahili and you have no idea where that's coming from, you figure it out eventually what they're saying. But yeah,
well, imagine how he tries to do a nice deed because he maybe wants to get in with God or whatever, and he adopts like a small Vietnamese guy, and then he starts teaching him words in English, and he thinks he's talking normal. But then this Vietnamese guy goes out into the world and is just fucked, trying to order so many things he can't do. I can imagine just interacting with him as like a foreign student coming to this country, and this guy just goes, "Yo,
Oh,
yo, bipple whip, snip, da dip dip," and you're like,
yeah, that.
"What?
Oh my
You
God.
sound like Mr. Magoo's Magic
I'm
Emporium."
gonna have to get that link from you after because oh my, I need to look that up. I need to find out what he's doing
You
because
can watch the whole audition of the thing. It's pretty ridiculous. It honestly made me feel like bad
now
for my state.
what's the name of the show?
Just type in Drewski on the internet and it'll pop up. He's an internet sensation right now. He did a show called what is it, Love or something, Lost and Loved or something like that. And it's a thing like a Bachelor, where they give you the rose.
Oh, that's not like Love Island, is it?
It's similar. They basically he gets people that would want to date him, and they're all like, one girl's pregnant, and like they're all like, it's all really really bad. Like the one girl sticks her head out the window and goes, "My man, my man, my man, where's my man?" And he's like, "What the hell is that?" And they do this whole thing. It's the guy who also does the Sunday Conversations. He asks like people tough questions. Like he'll ask Aaron Rodgers, like, "What do you think about?" And then he'll say something like that is a taboo subject. And then Aaron Rodgers kind of freezes there, goes, he goes, "Coach Belichick dating a girl 40 years younger than him. You get a piece of that?" And then he just like says stuff like that. Like it's just stuff like that where it makes it really awkward for the conversation. Like Rob Gronkowski's not going to answer that if he's being asked it.
Not at all. Oh man, the internet is so weird. Do you remember there was a time when the internet was wild and free, and when we were saying stupid stuff, and then things hit and sort of it wasn't like the censors clamped down. I think people just got smarter and they just realized you can't really say whatever you want. And now that's sort of out the window. I think people just kind of say whatever they want. Do you know how they get away with it? I've seen in a lot of a lot of streamers will use this term, in my opinion. If
that's what I've been telling people to do all along.
Exactly. But if you say, in my opinion, if somebody comes after you saying you're spreading misinformation or something, I'm going, no, I'm not. I'm just sharing my opinion. And that kind of deflates. Now, I think they were trying to pass a law or something about it because they actually did a show like Law and Order or something like that, where they had a guy on the stand and he was some type of software guy, and he kept going, no, it was in my opinion. The piece I printed was in my opinion, but it was slander and it was so full of stuff. But he kept going, no, it's just my opinion. It's my opinion. And they were trying to get around that. Yeah, but you published your opinion, and it's just.
Well, that's like what people with blogs and stuff like that, like some like people for Newsweek, and they write stuff. You got to understand their opinion pieces. So like you're reading the news and people are reading it and they're thinking like this is fact, like 100% this has been proven. It's like that's not true at all. You just wrote an opinion piece and the guy happens to be against the political person that you might support or you might hate again. So
sort of like editorials, like it was quite obvious what an editorial was. Like it was an opinion, what they call it, op-eds. That's what they used to call it. And that has kind of gone out the window where you'll see stuff now, like now with influencers and stuff, like, yeah, everything they say is their opinion. Whether they say it or not, that's the thing. And so you'll have very rarely will you have someone go, now this is fact. This is fact.
That's why I don't trust reviews for people who do like movie reviews and stuff like that. Like I trust a lot of people's opinion, but you want to know whose opinion I respect the most out of like anybody's opinion when it comes to food? Remember Matt Fulmer? I'm trying to get him back on the show. He's he's been on a couple times, but he's a Philadelphia food influencer. So he rates reviews food in Philly. So wow. I sent him a message. I have to read you this message. I sent him a message. We were in Philly. So I go, hey, what's a good place to get like a Philly cheesesteak? Because like that's what Philly's known for. We have to get a Philly cheesesteak. Normally someone would just send you like a 1-sentence thing or like maybe this might be a good thing for you. I got to read you what he sent me because he sent me 2 paragraphs in a matter of a minute of like this. So, all right, yeah. I go, hey, what's good eats in Philly for like a Philly food? He's like, you looking to get cheesesteaks? He goes, depending on what part of Philly you're going to, D'Alessandro's is good. Angelo's is one of the best. Skinny Joey's has been all the rage lately. I do think that Steve's Prince of Steaks is good too. If you're on South Street, Jim is solid. Pat's and Geno's are the most well-known, but they're not the best in my opinion. If you go to Geno's, you have to order concisely. Like say you want cheese whiz and onions, that's whiz with, or whiz with no onions is whiz without. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, I barely eat food, man. I get like, I do 2 meals a day and it's like a can of tuna and a protein shake. Like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I screenshot it and sent it to my buddy and my buddy goes, hold on a second. He goes, can you give me that guy's number? I was like, that's the guy I want reviewing my food. And I go, yeah. I was like, but that's true. You get recommendations from people. Most of the time, people give me a recommendation for something. It ends up being completely wrong of what they said. I've heard too many people go, that movie's terrible. This movie's terrible. I was like, I love the Green Lantern. I don't know what you're talking about. So there's a lot of like, people just want to go online and be like, I want to see what people are saying about it. They were shitting on the Superman movie, and now I'm like super excited to see it. And then what was the last movie that came out that I saw? It was was it Deadpool 2 or Deadpool and Wolverine? They were crapping on that thing the whole time, and then next thing you know, it comes out. It's like one of the best movies Marvel made or Fox made in a while.
Yeah, and that's it's really weird. Like you can't really trust the. It's really happened in computer games as well, because I'm a gamer, but I also follow it because the voiceover stuff, and when you have all the magazines like GameSpot and PC Gamer and all that, and you see the ads, they're shilling for the companies, like they're all like a game will come out and it's like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and it's crap, it's garbage, and it's been getting horrible reviews by the people who tried it, like the beta testers and stuff, or whoever, or they'll do like an early access release, and the game was getting just bombed on by everybody. But the mags are saying, "Oh, this is one of the best things that's happened." I think they've really come into themselves because they want to make sure that they keep getting free copies of the games.
Dude, it's what we were talking about last time about the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's just like Olympic judges, man. You just sort of grease the wheels a little bit. Next thing you know, your game's
and
not every game is 10 out of 10. And I keep seeing every single book, #1 New York Times bestseller. You know how many New York Times bestsellers, if we're applying that method, have been on my show? A lot more than I think have actually been #1 bestsellers, my friend.
That's the thing. I mean, when you've got and you think about it that way, they're just kind of shilling because they want free copies. That means they're not buying your product. So a lot of times now. Did you see that influencer who there's like a sandwich truck, he's like a taco truck, who has stopped, if he finds out somebody's an influencer, they get charged double.
What?
Because what was happening was people were coming up to his truck going, "Hey man, I'm an influencer. I got a lot of followers and stuff. Give me some of your free food and I'll give you a good rating." And they just wanted free food.
Yeah, you can't abuse the system on that one.
That's what he had it happen 3 times to him. In fact, one of the places kind of gave him a bad review about it, said, "Yeah, it wasn't really good," kind of thing. But the others didn't do anything, and so he kind of went, "You know what? If you're one of those guys who comes up to my truck and says, 'Hey, I'm an influencer, give me free food,' you get charged double." And he's had a big sign that said, "Influencers get charged double," and people love him for it. I respect it as well.
I notice it a lot more now. I don't know if it's as big as it is in the UK, but like here, I work at a gym, so I see like couple girls walk in, they got tripods set up and everything like that. And like my buddy was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, she's a fitness influencer." I'm like, "What? She's a fitness influencer?" And I'm looking at her, I'm like, bruh. I know that's not what I'm following when I go on Instagram. So I was just like, "What's the Instagram?" And then I typed in the handle and I looked and she's got like 3,000 like TikTok followers or something, which is a decent number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then I just curious, just went over and go, "What made you want to do a whole influencer account thing?" And she was like, I started trending, and then I'm like, now I'm popular, and now I got people that want to see me post my meals in the morning and know the ingredients that are in it, tell them what I'm doing for my day, my skincare routine. Starts to give me like a list, and I'm like, right. And she's like, "Do you do anything like online? Like you got something?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I don't do a single thing. I'm boring." And then my buddy was like, "He has a podcast," and I was like, "Yep, but it's not popular." And then she's like, "Oh, well, what is it on TikTok? I'll follow it." And then she goes to mine and it's like 16,000 followers on there. And she's just like, "Could you interview me?" I'm like, No. I don't want to interview any gym people because I loved the gym, but I hate talking about it.
Well, that must be the thing. I mean, you must see all types in the gyms. Like one of the things I like, there's a couple Japanese influencers I follow because when I started learning the language, I started following I follow like a couple musicians, I follow a couple fitness influencers, I follow, and just to hear the different words that they use. And one of the things I noticed in gyms in Japan, they have a section set aside for influencers. And there's a sign that says selfies here, it's in English and Japanese kind of thing.
I thought we were taking away segregation, not changing it.
But at the same time, I get what they're doing because if you're setting up all that tripods and shit in the gym, you either have to go at a time when it's not very busy or you have to just make sure you're not getting in people's way. And half the time when you're setting up all that shit, you're spending too much time on the equipment.
I will give you one of my experiences this morning. Okay, I get to the gym
This
at
morning.
midnight. I get to the gym at midnight. All right, that's when I work out until around 3, and then I clock in for work and I work till whenever. So I just left the Beach Boys. Okay,
Yeah.
this is how it started. I go into my buddy's house. He's not going to be there till 5. The show is at 7.
Yeah.
I got there at 3. I walk in the door. My buddy's mom has a bunch of Tito's and a bunch of alcohol bottles lined up. She's got a recipe book for pina colada, and then she's got a blender.
That, yeah.
And I just send it to my buddy. I go, dude, she's already ready. And like, she had a lot of fun. But that was like, I left there with like a bunch of sugar in my body from frozen drinks. And then I got to the gym and I went right to the bathroom. So I was like, I need to go. And I'm sitting in the stall and I just see little tripod legs land right in front of the stall like this. The guy had set it up in front of the bathroom stall and had it pointed like that way. So he could, and I was like, he'll be gone in a couple minutes. Like, I'm going to be here for a little while. And he moves the tripod, then he stands in front of it and just starts flexing like this. So when I open up the door, he's right freaking there with his shirt off. And I'm just like, get out of my way. And he's just like, still flexing. I'm like, move. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, he's not moving. He's just sitting there flexing. Like, he's stuck in flex mode. And I'm like, I just looked at him. I go, dude, if you don't move, I'm banning your membership. And then he just moved out of the way and then didn't say anything. And then I went, grabbed my stuff and I went back to go work out. And I was like, that's just, I don't understand people where it's like it's kind of like when you get old and you just get naked in front of people and you just don't care. It's like the sensor's gone.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like when you'll see some influencers where they'll be like walking across the street and all of a sudden stop and then have somebody, they're doing posing and modeling and stuff. There's places to do that. You don't do that during busy traffic. You don't do that, like suited. Now you mentioned the Beach Boys. How was it, man?
You want my honest opinion?
I do.
Or do you want like a good opinion?
No, I want the honest is best.
If you want to hear a good Beach Boy music, yes, it's a yes.
All right.
But if you really care about the band, it's very hard to get over the fact that there are 2 really old people in it, and one is like Biden on stage.
Ah.
And I don't, not any shade to any political party. It's just when you see that he's not there, there's like, I think they cut his mic like 3 or 4 times when he was singing. But some of the songs he was really good for. And I will give it to I think it's the youngest cousin, the one that plays keys. Dude, there has to be an age gap between the oldest and the youngest by like 10, 15 years. Because this dude was still good. Like, he was still singing, hitting every note. He was very enthusiastic. He was getting out, like pointing at the crowd, trying to get everybody to dance. Really made up the show. But the main dude was like, he would back away from the mic, and then like the other guys would be singing because they have younger people that play with them, and they sound pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, once these 2 original members die, this band knows that they're going to be the tribute band for the Beach Boys. Like, imagine being on stage with your replacements, basically, that are just, we're keeping you up there for looks and everyone wants to see you. But then like, I just couldn't imagine being in that position. But again, like, I mean, I think it was funny because they were mentioning the oldest one was mentioning he goes, I'm going to take you back to something, the year 1963. And then I literally just went, Kennedy assassination. And I'm like, I've had a couple drinks, so I screamed that shit. And I looked at my buddy, I was like, Kennedy, November 22nd. And I just was saying that. And he goes, in 1963, one day, me and my little brother woke up and we decided that, we're going to go downstairs and we were going to watch some TV. And this happened to be the day that November 22nd. I go, no shit. And I just went like that. And then like my buddy's mom just like put her hands on my back and they started hitting me like that.
Calm down.
And then literally the whole crowd's silent. It's like a very sad moment. They had just played the eulogy for the brother that just passed or cousin that just passed. So the whole crowd is just listening to this guy. And now he's taking a pause. And you just hear me going, November 22nd, Kennedy killed by conspiracy. Wasn't Oswald. I got the evidence. And I just fucking around.
Oh, no.
And then I sit down. And then like, it was just, for me, it was just funny. But he was talking about they wrote a song and they played some like really sad song right after that. But I was just dying laughing because like I called it right when he said 1963. My brain just went, Kennedy.
Just, oh my God.
I was about to rush up on the stage and be like, because I get it all the time. People go, I was alive when it happened. What makes you think you know more than me? And I'm like, let's do this. Let's just unload real quick. I've had enough drinks. And that's when Kennedy comes out.
Yeah. Oh my, and that's the thing. I mean, anybody who does that to you, I was there. well, were you really kind of thing? No, you were alive then. And so you weren't there actually. Like, were you
And the
on the
new
grass?
stuff, the good stuff didn't come out until later anyway, when the government
Exactly.
was
You know,
like,
this stuff, because, so for the next 10 years after it happened, you got obfuscated to the ninth, nth degree kind of thing. So you don't actually know what's going on, whereas the researcher, knows what's going on.
I just
And
had,
you could ask,
Meyer Lansky.
yeah,
I just had his granddaughter like comment on a couple of my videos talking about her dad being involved in JFK's assassination. And I was just, dude, I
Meyer
swear to you, I'll
Lansky's
show you the
granddaughter.
comment. I'll show you the comment because she commented something like let me read what the comment says. But I checked out her page. She has photos of like her and her family, like her as a child on Meyer Lansky's lap. So
Well,
she
Meyer,
might be legit. But I would think, I was like, why is she talking about her dad or grandfather killing Kennedy? I would think he'd be more mad at Howard Hughes for running them out of Vegas.
no, you remember wasn't there a mafia tie-in at one time with?
For the Rat Pack for Sinatra, but again, like that's like it's so light touch with that stuff, and we'll probably never know the truth on that one, just how deep the mob stuff went. Did he rig the West Virginia thing? Did he rig whatever states to win? I'm sure everybody does it, dude. I really don't think it's like LBJ is the only one with a political scandal about messing with votes. I think it happens all the time. We can't even talk about that on YouTube because that will get you banned.
Well, there's a name like Meyer Lansky. I remember looking up the actor who played Meyer Lansky in the Untouchables.
Well, I just don't know why the name drop people think like, oh, I'm so scared of. I'm like, hey, sorry, I'm more scared of the barber that's saying Bipple Yip Snip. I feel like he would shoot me in the head if I crossed him wrong. I don't feel like Meyer Lansky would do that to me.
Or stab you with a comb.
Right?
Oh, man. Yeah, that is the thing.
Yeah, see, JFK shot Lucky Luciano first. Lucky lived. JFK didn't. Now get over it. Lucky Luciano's daughter, and then she signed it. So it was Lucky Luciano, not Meyer Lansky. Whoops.
Lucky.
It's in the family.
Yeah, Lucky Luciano.
He helped in World War I with the stuff.
Yeah,
but if you go to her page, it's all this stuff. And then like she put JFK didn't now get over it. Lucky Luciano's daughter. And I just put, she sounds like a dirty little bird. As my reply comment. That makes no sense.
So is this somebody who is sort of trying to like live off her family's notoriety? But the problem,
there's a lot of people like that, dude. Look at the whole freaking what do you call it? Oh God, what is it?
The Kardashians?
There's a good one for sure. But I'm talking about like Muhammad Ali's family.
Yeah.
George Foreman's family.
Yeah.
Anybody that has like a name that was established as this, and then next, they're just etched.
A friend of mine, that's interesting that you brought up Muhammad Ali. The lady that took my last headshots she did the last photo book of Muhammad Ali before he passed away. So she took a bunch of photos and stuff for him. And the hoops she has to jump through dealing with his family, with the publication of this book. They're her photos of Muhammad Ali. He gave his okay for a lot of stuff, but now that when he passed away, all of a sudden the family jumped in and said,
the former wife was just down here in Maryland. She visited the police barracks and did a bunch of signings and stuff like that. Now she signs like photos of him, and it's like, I don't know about you, but I want to see the person, not the actual like family member. Like I met Michael Jordan's brother one time.
Yeah, and you kind of go, oh, awesome. And
he was not very happy with being a Jordan. Dude was 6'8", walking into a gym, and it said Jordan as the last name. I go, I gotta ask my man, you related to Michael Jordan? And I was honestly expecting him to say no, but Michael Jordan comes to our town like once a year for a giant fishing tournament that's down here.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, he's like, we're all doing a bunch of activities, family stuff down here for the fishing tournament. And I was like, oh, wait, like, how is it being Michael Jordan's brother? He's like, I'm the older brother. How do you think it feels? I was like, what? And I guess I didn't realize he's like eclipsed by his younger brother. And his younger brother was betting people like all the time, the whole trip. Like, I'll swim faster than you across the channel. I'm like, why would you swim across the channel? It doesn't make sense. Just addicted to betting.
Oh, man.
Well, this is the main topic I actually wanted to get to. I'm glad we kind of slid in here.
Here we go. Fire
not
away.
Just the Beach Boys stuff, but I want to talk about fame. When you do voice acting, you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for a sense of notoriety and a sense of establishment within yourself, much like anybody does anything, content creation, music creation, anything. You can talk about legacy. You can talk about whatever you want. It's just really about getting something attached to your name. My vision is eclipsing the other Robbie Robertson that passed away, that son of a bitch. I want to Google myself first. That's all I want to see. You can at least Google me out of the blank now, and it pops up like a whole thing about it, which is cool.
Which is fantastic. And actually, it's really interesting that you touched on voiceover. And it's one of the things that it's kind of one of the reasons why I ended up getting divorced in a way was like, because I started as an actor. Well, originally I started as a hockey player, and here, this is that whole fame, like you run around, because I still have people ask me about it, because I was drafted when I was 15, well, 16 really, to the Chicago Blackhawks, and then had my accident, and which ended my hockey career kind of thing. So I didn't play after that. I still have people coming up to this day when they go, "Oh, yeah, whatever happened to that, man?" And I go, and they go, "Oh, you could have been famous." And I'm like, I could still be famous. I got time, man. But there's this whole thing about you're raised in small town Canada or small town United States. If you can skate, you're raised to play hockey, do the thing. Like my brother he pitched for Team Canada, and then he was drafted to the Atlanta Braves as a pitcher. He was a power pitcher. And he blew out his rotator cuff when he was 22. And they told him that he was an old man at 22. They said, yeah, it's gone. Like, we're not going to spend money on surgery, or anything like that. We're just going to drop you. And he ended up becoming a scout. They traded him to the Seattle Seahawks or the Seattle Mariners, which I don't even know if they're called the Mariners anymore, but they traded him to Seattle, and Seattle sent him to Australia to be a scout. First, they sent him to Rotterdam, and then they sent him to Australia, like not some of the other countries. But this is all about fame and all about trying to hang in there. And my brother will admit it. He, when he was alive, he was saying that he never really let that go. Because there was always an opportunity that you could still be famous. You can still maybe I'll find that guy that becomes famous, like who's the guy who brought in the Japanese pitcher that's there now? Like he's supposed to be like the guy who's like pitching and hitting everything, and he's like the number one player. Well, who was the talent scout that found that guy, that brought him in, and now he's famous for other reasons? So when I was acting, one of the things that my my ex really wanted me to do, she wanted a red carpet walk. That's what an opportunity to walk on the red carpet. And I didn't really care at the time. I just liked acting. And you get paid pretty good money when you're doing it. You don't get paid much when you're not. And she just could not handle the fact that I didn't really want to be famous, because I'd said to her, I'd kind of like to still be able to go out and like in public and get ice cream. And it's sort of one of the reasons why I sort of drifted into voice work, because there's not many people that when you're out in the town and they sort of recognize your voice, like that doesn't happen that often, but it's just not that thing. But like actors, there are actors who go out there who to be famous and they want to be recognized. I remember you talked about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was in an interview once he was complaining about not being able to go get ice cream with his kids and to do stuff. And somebody said to him, they go, "Michael, maybe you shouldn't have sold your soul to sell batteries and underwear and any other thing that McDonald's or whatever company was doing." And, like everybody knows what you look like because you did so many ads. And yeah, fame used to be a thing where the big thing with the paparazzi was, well, you're famous. You basically sold your soul. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I could, like the guy who was doing trampolines, trying to take pictures of Tom Hanks and his family. So he's on a trampoline and he's bouncing up over his wall trying to take pictures. And that whole thing about if you're famous, that's part of it. You have to allow people to basically invade your territory. Nowadays on the internet, I don't know, man. Like with influencers, there's all these influencers that are famous, and now there's like unwritten rules, things like you cannot dox another influencer, because they're private, where they are, where they live. Like they can be famous online, but you're not allowed to point out where they live and things and all that. And I think fame is just crazy nowadays.
I want to play this for you because honestly,
Please
this is
do.
probably the best representation of too much fame. I don't know if you've ever seen this interview with Shia LaBeouf where we're just being bombarded by paparazzi. It's really sad. Just watch.
I travel from Greece for you, please. Yes, please. I am from Please, Saya, please. Guys, please. I travel for you, please. Saya, I'm big fan, please. I travel from Greece for you, please.
What do you need?
A photo, just a photo.
Okay,
no,
ready? Let's take a photo.
Yes.
Cool. Good? Okay, good? Okay.
Now, where is he? Like, is he?
I don't know. Doesn't say either. Just watch how sad he gets.
Yeah, he's probably had a bad day, and
Saya, please, fan. Saya. Thank you very much.
who was it?
Thank you, Saya. Thank you. Thank you, Saya.
Who was it? There's the guy. Do you know the show? Oh man, yeah, you can just see him. Like, you look at him. Yeah.
You ready?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Back off.
Yep, you ready? Wait,
You got it. Back off. You got it 4 or 5 times.
There is no focus.
Okay.
No focus on the camera. Very good, guy. Fix the focus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look at him. He's just like, let me go, man. Just let me go.
That's when it gets difficult, and probably what people won't understand about stuff. But also at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, you open up the doors for, there's different levels of fame. There's music fame, which is instant gratification. People are in front of you, they're listening to your music, you're getting that instant feedback that they like you or they don't like you. Social media, podcasting, content creation that you put online, it's not instant fame. It's just a build up. You see the numbers, but I don't see anybody else. It's just me and you talking right now. I don't know what's going on in the background. Someone could be jacking off with us. I don't know. Just saying, background noise.
I hope
Your voice is. But then with like voice acting, people know the voice, but they don't know your face really. A lot of people don't look up voice actors until like they're at Comic-Con or they see a poster for it and they see that little character of you that they like in the background behind you.
Exactly. And I just want to touch on something really quick that I remember seeing something about, do you know the guy who did Phineas and Ferb? Like I think his name is Dan Poppelmeyer, I think. He was saying he went to, I think that's who it is. But there was a guy saying, I went to a Taylor Swift concert and I knew that there was going to be a bunch of people, like there was going to be, getting out of that place was going to be a nightmare kind of thing. So he left during the encore kind of thing. And he's outside and he's walking to the train and somebody recognized him. And actually, I don't even know if this is the guy, but let's just, somebody recognized him and went, hey, can I get an autograph? And he went, sure. And while he's taking an autograph, about another 10 people came up and said, hey, you're the guy. And eventually there's about 2,000 people surrounding him going, can I get a photo? Can I get it? Can you sign this? And he realizes he's alone in the middle of this like 2,000 people. And he just wants to get to the train. And it was at that moment, like he panicked. He was like, I need to get out of here. Like, oh my God, like, how do I do this? With the voice act thing, that's, what ends up happening is you'll have some voiceover artists who get really tied into the character they're playing. And they think that, only they can do the character. And that really came out recently with the SAG strike and with the Genshin strike and all that was happening. And you had some voice actors who were going, well, you can't replace me. I'm that character. That's me. Like there's nobody else could do it. And it's like, no, you're just a voice actor. Like you can be replaced. And there were some actors that did this fame-wise. How many times have you heard the story like certain actors were replaced because they demanded too much money? Big one.
The mom from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or the auntie.
Yeah. Also, Alec Baldwin from when he did
30 Rock.
Well, no, he first did Hunt for Red October, which was the initial time that Jack Ryan appears. So that was sort of the very first Jack Ryan movie, The Hunt for Red October. So Alec Baldwin, he demands way too much money so who did they get to replace him? Harrison Ford. and they were like, yeah, we should have. I think they wanted Harrison Ford right from the beginning, but they didn't. But so basically he asked for too much money and they went, no, we're going to do it. Otherwise, it would have been Alec Baldwin doing that whole series of Jack Ryan movies. And then when Harrison Ford stopped, wasn't it? It's the guy Jim Krasinski. I think he was the last Jack Ryan. I think, but yeah, there's a lot of actors who think I'm irreplaceable. You can't, and then think,
Well, that's like Charlie Sheen on Two and a Half Men when he told his
yeah.
the
Wow,
director, he's producer or whatever, he said some awful things, and next thing you
there was
know, they killed him
there was a
off.
lot there was a lot of stuff happening there. There was
That show was gold too. That was a good show.
and it was, and that's the thing. And for voiceover wise, I mean, that kind of just happened recently. You had the strike, and then you had a bunch of voiceover actors who were really acting out of line, and they were actually attacking the company that they're striking against. And there was a couple people commented and said, "Are you sure it's okay that you can say this stuff? Because the company can just fire you." And they're like, "Well, no, they'll never fire me. I'm irreplaceable." Ding, replaced, recast, pardon me, recasted, recasted. And it was that when you see that now, I think you really see it now because social media is so much more aware, like who's being recast because they throw out names so
Another big
quickly.
one is the guy who was playing Kang the Conqueror in
Yeah,
the Marvel series because he got into that fiasco with his girlfriend. And it turns out he actually was cleared of those charges, but Marvel and DC were like, not happening.
yeah. Well, look at another guy who has been replaced a couple times is Edward Norton. He
Yeah.
was the original Hulk, and but
Well, one of the originals.
yeah, part of it. But part, you look at that, and he said originally, I think some of it was the makeup because again, remember back when he was doing it, CGI, there was a lot of practical effects still going on. And I tell you, movies with practical effects are the best. Like like the Goon or like the Gremlins and all that kind of stuff where they were doing all this stuff or trolls but yeah, he was so much practical effects were happening that he was like, I can't handle this, the suit. And also he didn't really like the part. He didn't stop. But there's a lot of actors who will just kind of roll in and get quietly replaced.
It's kind of like when you join the Marvel universe, you kind of have to agree to be celibate for the rest of your life because like that's like one of those things where it's like joining the church.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about that because you think about like K-pop idols, for example, have to sign a contract that basically says you have to be celibate. They're not allowed to date. They're not allowed to even be seen with another person from the
Because they have
opposite
to be
sex.
the dream person for whoever
They have
girl
to
is
be the
watching
dream.
them.
Well, forever, whatever girl and whatever guy is watching them, um, and there's millions of them, so you cannot b- destroy that dream because you can get fired and replaced because you're dating someone. The biggest one that was, well, the one I found really interesting was, do you remember ever hearing the story about the female weather reporter in Japan? Who she was on air. She became viral overnight because she was on air during the earthquake, the big earthquake that happened. And so she's on air and goofing around and talking, and all of a sudden the earthquake happens, and she just switched a beat and became serious person, perfect professional. And for the next, however long she was on, she was great. And then overnight, people started playing, look how fast this girl switches, blah, 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 blah. And then she ended up getting an agent. Like, and the thing was, her hobby was cosplaying. It's what she did when she wasn't working. And she was she was told she couldn't do certain things anymore, couldn't do this anymore. She couldn't be seen dating, and then what happens was she takes time off from NHK where she's on TV, and nobody knows where she is because why would she, but somebody spots her at Wimbledon in the box seats at Wimbledon. And who's she watching but the Japanese that's her. She's watching the Japanese tennis player who's there playing, and turns out that they were dating. And the moment that everyone found out that she was dating, this channel right here started getting bomb threats and death threats, and she was getting death threats, and she was like, "What? I'm a weather person. What? Like,
Hold on,
what?"
I gotta watch it real quick.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have volume to it? No.
勉強したんですけれど、おってきちゃったらやってみたいですよね。なかなかうまくいかない。ここで地震をお伝えします。緊急地震速報をお伝えします。念のため海岸
Did you see that? Just a ting, just a switch.
And she just reads the bottom. A bunch of people are dying, and she's sitting there laughing about something.
And then she sees it, and she switches, and that's all you need to see, kind of thing, from the whole thing. But she became, like, when you talk about fame, and this is a great thing, she became famous overnight, and she wasn't ready for it, and so she was actually, like, she didn't know that she wasn't supposed to date anybody. She didn't know that, like, who tells you that? So when the public finds out she's dating, she didn't know that she had all these fans all over Japan, like men who were her fans, who all of a sudden started watching the Weather Channel whenever she was on. And she had to, I don't really know much about what happened after people found out about the tennis play. Like, I don't even know if she's still together with the guy. But he started getting death threats. All these people are like, oh my God, like, people are just nuts.
Did when the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight happened, the scorecard girl had like a big bust, and she was like 20 in college at the time, and her Instagram following and all her social media pages went up like 5 million like follows. Like, she woke up and it was like 5 million something. Jason Latone was on here talking about it. He goes, I saw her. I followed her. I'm not one of those idiots. I was like, damn, dude. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. And I looked it up, and like, yeah, she gave a bunch of interviews about how her following just increased by like so much.
It's amazing. I guess this is really interesting. Like, when you talk about, there's fame and then there's viral fame. And fame is something, you earn it. Like, you see actors or sports people, you talk about it, musicians, people see you playing, they do this stuff, even voice acting, whatever. If you're good at it, you get famous. But the people who get famous virally, like overnight, they are not ready. You are not ready for that level of, like you have people.
I had a clip that got like, what, 3 million something views it's at now, but like for the first like couple weeks, it was like I was refreshing my news feed and get like 100, 500 followers and stuff like this, like just on my YouTube channel, and I was like, oh my God. And then it kind of slowly started to wean off, and now every now and again it starts to trend again when someone.
So how did you handle your fame?
Still drank whiskey.
And that's the thing, man. Like, I find it very interesting where you have kids today, or not even just kids, like trolls. You got internet trolls who look at influencers and they go, that should be me. I should be making, 6 figures doing whatever you're doing. Yeah. You're a troll. Like, you are somebody who has never been told no. You still live in your parents' basement. You're still doing this. You don't have a girlfriend, whatever it is. But a lot of people who throw that crap out there are very comfortable. Keyboard warriors are very comfortable hiding behind their keys. And would you be willing to, film yourself 8 hours a day? It reminds me. Remember those houses that they used to have that had the girls in them?
I do film myself for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, well, exactly. But do you remember the houses that they used to have around where it was like the girls were sleeping in the rooms and all? It wasn't quite OnlyFans. They would be possibly wearing lingerie sometimes or pajamas, but there were like houses that were sets.
Are you sure your glasses weren't X-ray specs?
No. Well, no, they had like sets built up, and you would walk into a room and there'd be a girl, and all she's doing is putting on her makeup. She's sleeping, she's washing her hands, and you basically followed these women around all day, cooking, cleaning. They did nothing else other than wear skimpy clothes. But they did nothing else other than chores and do internet stuff. And that was really big when the internet first started, the late 90s, early 2000s. Because this was
picture someone tapping somebody, go, dude, she's balancing her checkbook.
Well, that was the thing, man. That's what you did. And it was like, like back in the day, of course, because you were never going to experience the ping of a 56K modem downloading the Playmate Centerfold, and it's going to take you 2.5 hours.
Yeah, because the screen's gets all blurry. You can see part of it, but you don't know exactly what it is.
It comes down line by line, and it's going to take 97 minutes. And all that would happen is your mom would pick up the phone, and you're like, Mom, no! because now you got to start again. And even when it downloads, the resolution is so low. It's this is
I
back when the
think that's
internet.
her foot. I don't know.
And that's the thing. In many ways, it's one of the things that I'd always said to myself, I don't think I ever want to be that famous. Like, I enjoy my job and I enjoy doing it, but I don't think I'd ever want that much, that much notoriety where you can't even go out to a restaurant, where you're sitting in a restaurant, somebody sees you and they're going to come over and interrupt your meal. Hi, can I get a picture? And you're like,
Well, there's definitely a better time and place for it with some of those things, but sometimes it's uncontrollable. For some people, you're just like the ultimate thing in their eyes. But again, this is a weird scenario where most of the time people like actors and all this, this person is building up a profile of you and you have no idea who this person is. So they're coming at you at like 100 and you're at like a level 1, like, wait, who are you? Excuse me? You know what? How'd you know that? And it's like, yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, like, I think Americans get a really bad rap for that. Like, for example, like Patrick Stewart comes to Canada. He's in Canada doing the original X-Men. And at night, he would go out, walk on the street by himself. He went to see a play when he was there. And he walked out of the theater and somebody saw him and basically went, Patrick Stewart. And he went, hello. And he stopped to talk for a while. And the Canadian people just sort of chatted with him. And there were some people around him who knew who he was, but they were stood off and they were kind of going, oh, that's Patrick Stewart. But nobody came over and like mobbed him. Nobody was asking him for autographs or anything. They were just talking to him. And then they said, oh, are you staying nearby? And he said, yeah, I'm staying at the hotel just down the street. And somebody said, would you like someone to accompany you? It can get kind of nasty at night. He said, no, I'm fine. Thank you very much. And he just kind of walked away, down the street. And that was that kind of thing. Whereas there's certain places in the US where people would be jumping on him and grabbing parts of his jacket. And he's like, I got Patrick Stewart's pocket. Yeah. And you're like, Jesus. But I don't know if that's just a bad rap or if that's how it actually is kind of thing. I have seen many times people getting interrupted in restaurants and things. And some people seem to handle it better than others kind of thing. I know.
Hold on. I got one for you. There's, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but this has to be the best interact. I love this guy, and a lot of people don't like him because he's got a very scandalous background. But I love Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Helping my friend Mel Gibson, el del Patriota. Mel Gibson. Are you Mel Gibson?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes. El del Patriota.
Oh, my God.
Why are you alone?
Huh?
Why are you alone?
Why are you?
I am alone because I'm not famous.
I like being alone.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, my God. This
What is it? Is he filling up? He's pumping up his tire
He's
with.
fixing his tire, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Rob you.
Yeah, you are Mel Gibson.
Oh, my stars.
Can you shine that light on this, on the pressure gauge?
Okay, let me help you.
Where do you get the fingernails, man?
I really made them today.
It's like Dracula.
I know.
El Patriota. What movie?
Oh, my. Now, where is he? Where is he?
I don't know.
Thank you. Bye.
That was so funny. What did you hear what she said? What's your name again? Like, she doesn't know
Hold
who
on.
he is.
It's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, this is in London.
What does he do? Give his seat up?
Yeah. And she doesn't recognize him, but this person who's filming him has recognized him right away.
Birthday to you.
I don't even watch all that. You get banned. You know how much it charges for singing Happy Birthday?
Oh, Happy Birthday. Yeah, Happy Birthday is one of those songs. I think the people who own the rights to that make a mint. They make
Dude,
a
I'm
mint.
telling you, I'm going to change up the lyrics. Bipple whip, snip, and start hitting it with the...
That guy, he better copyright that crap pretty quick, I tell you. Oh, my God.
I think he's got his own brand merch now. It's like the Hawk Tuah girl who just started branding
Oh,
everything.
yeah. Poor thing. Like, there's another one that and I say poor thing, really, because, again, there's somebody who had no idea.
What about
viral
Oliver
fame.
Anthony and his song Rich Men North of Richmond?
Now that, see, again, I just saw, wasn't it
He's
Joe
he was
Rogan?
just
I
on
just,
Joe Rogan again, but he's been trying to
yeah,
post songs up, and nobody is like interested in those other songs.
but I just saw him. Well, they're not interested right now because of all because of the controversy kind of thing, and like
He's a
he does,
conservative. He's from Virginia. It's like 3 hours
yeah,
away from me.
yeah, and so he's got, he does his second song, what's it called, "Scorned Woman" or something like that, or, um, but his wife wants 60% of everything that he's going to make for the rest of his life. That's what she wants.
That's why I never
So
get married.
they were basically living out of their car. He's selling farm equipment. He gets one hit song, it goes viral, and his wife says, "Yeah, I want a divorce and I want everything that you have, or half of everything that you have."
Some
But not just
fortune
not just
teller told her to hang on to that Richmond north of Richmond comes through.
that's the thing, and but I mean, the thing is not just for her. Like what it is not just half of what I have. I want half of everything you're ever going to make.
I want half your T-shirt. I want the midriff. I want to rock it like a headband.
I want the muffin top. That's right. Oh my God. So yeah, that his story is again now. That's that's fame. That's what fame.
You
want
to be famous where you're famous funny, so you can be able to go out in the public and people can just have fun, not feel like they have to feel like, oh my God, it's Brad Pitt. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and just have like a freak out attack. I'd rather be like Danny McBride famous.
Who's somebody I watched a thing with George Clooney. And George Clooney is standing there talking to, like, I think he's talking to Brad Pitt and he's talking to, Matt Damon. They were filming Ocean's 11. And this woman was walking by and saw it was George Clooney and she fainted. She saw it
No,
was
no,
him.
that wasn't George Clooney. I know who that was. That was oh God. Oh dude, the dude who played the Joker in Batman. He died.
But yeah, the Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. That was Heath Ledger, with the old woman screams really loud. And
no. This is a woman who, in this scene, what happens is, or not the scene, but this woman's walking by. She sees George Clooney and she faints, and George sees her fainting out of the corner of his eye, and he's telling a story. He leans over, catches her, holds her up, continues his story, looks over, checks on her, going, "You okay?" And she just kind of stepped back, was really embarrassed. And he said, "You're okay." And then she kept walking. And one of the guys, I think it was Matt Damon, said, "Unbelievable. Does this happen so much to you that you just don't even break a sweat when people faint around you?" And he went, "It's happened more than once." And she just kind of bought, and he just kept going. He's so used to that type of thing. And then you got people like, I think it was Sly Stallone was saying that somebody came up to him in a restaurant and said, "Can I get a photo?" And he said, "Listen, I'm eating. I'm happy to take a photo after I'm done, but I don't want to interrupt my meal." And he's had one person, he said that to. They went, "Okay, fine." And another person said, "What are you, a fucking prick? Are you a joke?" kind of thing. "I should be able to do whatever, you're a movie star. I should be able to take your picture whenever I want." And they created a scene. And he's just looking at them going, "Why would I want to give you anything?" And because they were basically saying, "I deserve to take a picture of you."
Well, it's like a ethical agreement, I guess. I mean, you do sign away kind of your rights to privacy when you become someone like a celebrity, but then at the same time, you do deserve the fact that you are a person who wants privacy. I mean, Andrew Santino recently talked about, he was at a restaurant, like a really high class restaurant with his wife. He's like a C-list celebrity for sure, B-list. He's in a couple good, like really good movies. And he's a pretty popular comedian. But he was talking about, like, this guy approached him, was like, "Dude, can I get a fan? I'm a big fan. Can I get a picture with you? Can I get a picture with you?" He's like, "I'm right now, I'm meeting with my wife, dude. If you just like go off to the side and I'll come get you when we're done, and we can take a photo and we can do all this. But I need to, this is me and my wife, man. Don't interrupt this." And he just started taking photos of like selfies in front of Santino. And then Andrews looked at him and said, "Dude, I'm not kidding around. Get out of my face." And the dude walked away. And the next thing you know, he got a bottle of wine ordered to his table, and he got a bunch of stuff ordered to his table. And then the guy came over and was like, "Dude, I just want to apologize. I don't mean to do that." And he's like, "It's fine. Let's take the photo and we're all good, dude. It's fine." But again, people like, because a lot of people will catch themselves and they obviously overstep the boundary. But again, there's sometimes people don't want to, I don't really want to be around any celebrities, to be honest with you. Anyone that I truly like want to see, I don't want to just even interact with him because I'm afraid
Sometimes
it's
it's
going to
weird.
end badly.
I know it's just stories, but I mean, when I was in Vancouver doing my first TV show I ever did was a show called Strange Luck, and the star of that show was DB Sweeney, and DB Sweeney had just come off doing Fire in the Sky, which won a whole crap ton of awards and all this kind of stuff, and so he comes to Vancouver, and he's going to be a TV star now, and he was there with David Duchovny, who's doing the X-Files, and then there was the guy who is now in. He was in Prison Break. He played the brother. He's. I think he's Australian. I can't remember. His name is Dominic Purcell, maybe. I think that's his name. And I don't really want to name drop because but this is what you hear when you're there. And so basically, these three actors would kind of get together and talk about how Vancouver was too small a town for them, and it was actually really hard to do shows that they were working on because they acted like movie stars. Particular DB Sweeney, we're doing Strange Luck, and it's the Bulls are coming to town, Michael Jordan, and he wants to go see the basketball game. And the directors said, and the producers on the show said, well, DB, you're the star of the show. You can't just fuck off to a basketball game.
You can.
Well, he could, but I mean, he would cost the production hundreds of thousands of dollars if he did. That's what happens. And so what did he do? He decided to cost the production hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our day turned into like an extra 12 hours. We were filming into the night because we were filming at the aquarium. We were filming with killer whales. Our background was like a killer whale tank and all this stuff. And he decided to pretend that he didn't know his lines. And you'll be doing a scene, you'll go, and the director will go, and action. And you're waiting, that's his cue. And then somebody off the side who's got the script would prompt him with his line. And he would lean over and he'd go, I know what my fucking line is. I'm just waiting. And then he would wait for like 5 minutes and they would go, cut. And so and this is back in, this was not digital. This is film. So what he was doing was he was throwing a temper tantrum because they wouldn't let him go to the basketball game. So he's making everyone else, he wants to ruin everybody else's day because they won't let him go to the basketball game. And that was like, are you kidding me? The other one that happened was I was in a bar in Vancouver. David Duchovny is standing in front of me and I'm standing behind him about to order a drink. And there's these two girls standing in front of me right beside David. They're leaning on the bar. And David looks down, sees one of the girls, and he basically, he tried to do it sneaky, but I'm standing behind him and I see what he's doing. And he elbows one of the girls. He just kind of goes, bunk, and he kind of like he was moving. And she looked up at him and then just kept talking to her friend. And he did it again. He elbowed her again. And she looked at him and she goes, man, what the fuck is your problem? And he just stopped and stared at her and went, don't you know who I am? And she went, I don't care who you are. You're a jerk. Stop elbowing me in the side. And the amount of people, when somebody has to say to you, don't you know who I am? That is like fame. Like, you are not famous. You want to be famous, or you know someone who's famous, because a lot of times people will go, don't you know who I am? And you're usually the brother of somebody who's famous, or the sister of somebody who's famous, or your dad is famous, it's just, yeah. When I saw that, I was like, are you
There's
kidding?
been a few videos like that have been pretty trendy. I just found the one. I don't know if you've seen this before. Orson Welles.
I don't know if I've seen it. I'm a big Orson Welles
He was
fan.
doing a commercial type thing for a wine commercial, and he was too.
Oh, yeah.
He started drinking before. So, if it plays.
Don't you know his
camera. Mark. 102, take one. With overlap, action please. Action Orson, please.
Just do anything?
No, it's
Oh my God, he's hammered.
102, take two.
The French
Oh my
campaign
God. Oh
has always
my.
been celebrated for its excellence.
There's a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence.
Oh
It's
my
fermented in the
God.
bottle, and like
I
the
don't
best
think
French
that. I don't think.
champagne,
I don't
it's
think.
vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
Yeah, I don't think that ever made
One,
it
two,
to
take
TV.
three. Action, please.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence.
That's
It's fermented
embarrassing.
in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
I'm so, man, I am
He
so
looks over like, what the fuck?
I'm so surprised he just got through all that with.
Wait, does he have more? Does he have more?
No.
I'm about to die if there's more of this.
Action.
Oh, this is just a knockoff.
Okay, no. Yeah, that's not
I'm
him.
not
That's
playing that.
Orson Welles was one of those. Now, yeah, he was famous, but and then again, I think he was famous for. In the end, he was famous for all the wrong reasons. But yeah, his Paul Masson wine ads ran forever, man. They were the 70s. That's whenever you were watching a show, like the Carol Burnett show or whatever show. In between, when there was a commercial, it'd be like Orson Welles hawking Paul Masson wines, but that was hilarious. Like he's just so hammered that he just. Oh man, and it's funny when you started going into the take because I was wondering if they get if they do into takes like Stanley Kubrick does Eyes Wide Open with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and they had a scene. They had one take where they went 84 takes, and you're thinking that's just ridiculous. Now I had the most takes I ever did for a commercial was 42. But it had nothing to do with me. It was the director was doing this thing. It was so subtle. It was annoying. It was so annoying. He had the camera on the trolley and he had it on a dip thing where he was going to push the trolley ahead and he needed the camera to go whoop. So like it was doing a little dip in the road. So the guy's doing it manually. And either he wasn't describing it well enough or what he wanted couldn't happen or something, or he was just being a dick. But we did that move 42 times. And you kept doing it over. I mean, I did one commercial where I'm riding a roller coaster and I rode it 27 times in a row.
Yeah, the amusement park one that you were talking about.
Now that was, but that one was, kind of thing. Now, again, you want to be famous for the wrong reason. The very first take we did, the director goes, "Now, do you want to practice or anything like that before we go over?" And I went,
and when
no,
it went
no.
off, you said, "Oh fuck" or whatever. And
I went, "Oh fuck," and then it comes around though, and this is what I didn't realize is I come around and the director is going like this, and then he points to the tannoys on the park. And what I wasn't told was that they were broadcasting the filming of the commercial all over the park as a promotion. So there's me going, fuck. It's just all over the park. And that's something you don't want to be famous for. So, yeah, you don't want to be famous for that person who did that thing.
One thing I forgot to mention about the Beach Boys was that I've heard so many interviews with John Stamos where he's talked about playing with the Beach Boys on stage. And then they're like, we have a song. It's got a good name to it. It starts with John, and we have a good friend down there who's on a really popular show. And then they started like opening up like that, and I went, are they gonna have to introduce John Stamos? Because that's a person I will run up and go try and get an autograph from. So I'm like, John Stamos, and then next thing you know, they mentioned John Stamos, but he wasn't there. I was like, damn it, Uncle Jesse! I would have screamed at his ass.
Oh my gosh! Well, it's funny you say Uncle Jesse, and I immediately think Dukes of Hazzard. So. It's different. Well,
different.
They kind of, they kind of ran around the same time as well. But yeah, that was oh my God.
Back in the days when mullets were acceptable, now they're kind of acceptable, but they're really bad looking.
Yeah, mullets were always a bad idea, kind of thing. That was it's so funny when, I grew up in the 80s when men were marrying, you have the new
Go
romantics.
Go ahead and say it. Men were marrying what? Men were marrying what? Get your ass canceled.
No, I was going to say men were wearing more makeup than the women. Like they were wearing roughly
Well, we swung around and did a complete 180, didn't we?
And this is in the new romantic movement that's just coming off of, and it was mainly in Europe and the UK. And what's happening back in, North America is mullets. Like if you went out at night, you wore your best hockey jersey, you high tops, jeans, you made sure you tied that bandana around your acid wash jeans. They were ripped at the knees. Sometimes you got it done professionally ripped. Which was ridiculous. And you had the mullets, and then the girls would show up in their prom dresses. And like there was no, or the big shoulders, like they looked like linebackers, like trying to go get a drink up at the bar. A girl would come up, excuse me, and then you're like, 2 glasses of wine, please. Out of my way. And
sorry, I was stuck on when you said professional ripper. I just picture someone going up and going, and then hands up and walks away.
And
Rips
that's
a
the
perfect
thing.
hole.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I guess where there are different levels of, I think what's happened now is we are sort of beyond the time of the big stars. I think the big stars are kind of, there's like, there's the Clint Eastwoods are still there. There's, the big stars, the ones who are like so mega famous that were like, even Mel Gibson, he's one of those kind of guys. But now there isn't really mega stars anymore, is there? Because
there is the Costco family.
I don't know the Costco family.
You don't know the Costco family?
No, I don't.
With what's his name? Drizzle? What's his name? Oh God, he's got a name. I got to remember it. Hold on, Costco family.
What
You've really never seen this? Honestly, this just tells you that society's heading towards what's that movie called? The stupid movie where everybody's dumb.
Oh yeah, that was just on the other day. It wasn't called. It's not called The Smartest One. IQ, is that what it's called?
No.
Yeah, it was Owen Wilson's brother. What the heck was that? It wasn't called The Smartest or anything, but it was. Yeah, that was just on my feed the other day. I don't know why. So that's. No, I don't actually watch television.
So this family called the Costco family got big from being like a Costco family, like going to Costco and shopping and stuff like that. And whenever something has like, oh, someone wrote in the comments, could you give a boom to my cousin Danny who's cancer? Danny, you're gonna get 5 big booms. Boom, boom. And it's the stupidest shit, but it trends so bad.
I don't know the Costco family, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Did I find it? The whole family looks like this is like definitely a thing from like the government to try and get everybody
to go to Costco.
No, just doped up on stupidity of this culture. Sometimes I think that, TikTok hired or paid and made the algorithm trend for like a bunch of influencers in the beginning that just
I wouldn't be surprised that because they wanted certain things to trend,
Watch this, right?
Truck.
It's AJ
and Big Justice.
And we're here to bring the boom. We give Jan, Nikki, and Grub 5 big booms. Boom, 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 boom. Now Dan's a dope, so he gets a boom. And you should all know that bat beats knife. Boom.
Bat
beats
knife.
Shoot AJ and Big Justice just give me as a human a doom?
I got 5 booms.
I've said so many nice things about their content.
And it's just, that's what they do. They go to Costco, go, these tuna cans are $2.99 for 4. That's 4 big boo. And I'm like, society's gone down this shit. Yeah. Bring back rollerblades.
Do you remember the guys from the original the Budweiser commercials were like, what's up? Remember those guys?
Yeah.
Well, they went viral overnight because of that ad kind of thing. And
I'm sure.
They had their own TV show that lasted, I think, 3 episodes kind of thing. But because they tried to market, they were like, oh, we need to capitalize on this really quick. So they tried to get them all together to do a show, but What's Up can only go so far like as a cat. But, that was the thing. The 70s and the 80s were all about catchphrases. What you talking about, Will? Where's the beef? Well, what you talking about, Willis? Good Times had Dynamite, Mr. Cotter. There was Welcome Back, Cotter. All these shows, you needed a catchphrase. You needed something. What was it? What did Urkel say? What was his thing?
Did I do that?
Yeah. And so you needed a catchphrase. And why? Like there was like at least Friends didn't really have a catchphrase as far as I can tell. I'm trying to think of remember. I don't think they did. I think
Joey
they did.
wants food. Joey doesn't share food.
Well, there was a couple things. They had more like characters where there was. I
Yeah,
think
those not. I think it had to be like a certain niche personality thing, like what Super Chef Bobby Flay or whatever his name is has one, and then Gordon Ramsay doesn't have one, but he's got memed up for taking two pieces of bread and sticking someone's head in between it and saying, "Now you're an idiot sandwich."
Well, that guy, and you talk about all the controversy, even, Jamie Oliver's, he's gone through the controversies. These are guys who are famous. And sometimes what ends up happening is when you're famous, then you do something stupid, or somebody finds out you did something, or you mismanaged. I think Jamie Oliver, his big thing was he just mismanaged his finances and his restaurants went under. And it wasn't really anything that he did. It was just, in fact, I'm not even sure if he got done by, like, you got somebody like Willie Nelson who hires a tax person who steals your money.
Or like David Spade, whose assistant tried to taser him while he was sleeping.
Yeah. And you kind of go, what? like,
it's hard to trust people nowadays.
Well, it is. I mean, and you kind of go, because sometimes these people are doing something because they want to be famous themselves. So they think they're going to be famous by doing something to a famous person.
I wonder who the person is that stands over Trump with a pillow and just goes, one good accidental fall and this would all be over with.
Yeah. And you just, I think the only problem with Trump is he'll just be replaced with someone else.
Or Biden with his sleep apnea machine just standing right above the tube with a wire. Just gotta cut this. Nobody would know.
And I think, fame. Now, when you talk about the levels of fame, like, do you want to be famous as a politician for,
and get shot at?
Well, these are the things, like, say you're famous as a rock star, you don't get shot at, you get underwear thrown at you on the stage.
First of all, John Lennon was shot at.
Yeah, he wasn't really a rock star then, was he?
He was a rock star.
Yeah, I suppose he's a rock star, but
Beatles were always good.
Yeah, he was shot at, but this was but who do you have to not really blame for it? Wasn't it
Mark Chapman?
Yeah, but he had a thing for
Yoko Ono?
No, the girl who was in Silence of the Lambs. It had to do with, he said that he had a dream and she told him to do it.
Do what?
The heck was shoot John Lennon?
Oh.
And what's her name from Silence of the Lambs?
You're talking about Mark Chapman was told by this woman?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was obsessed. He said that, and she got sort of pulled into all that sort of stuff, and it was like, because he was nuts. He was nuts, and so for a while.
Have you heard my conversations with David Whelan on those?
About what? About
David Whelan, about John Lennon's assassination? Yeah, I've done 5 different John Lennon episodes. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know you done that many.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, so I honestly think Mark Chapman might have been a little bit brainwashed there. The guy who visited him happened to be in an MK Ultra documentary, so I was just like, that's a little suspicious. Like, apparently from all the family members and people that David spoke to, he'd had no obsession with Catcher in the Rye. He didn't even like the Beatles that much, didn't even like John Lennon that much. Apparently he quotes it, there was another band at the time that he actually enjoyed more, that his brother said he enjoyed more. But they said he was very manipulative, like he was really into that young
so he was, what do they say? He was like putty then, so he was very
kind of, but like he was like into that healing Christianity, the very the one where like you have to stand up and like run up to the person and they heal you and you just start dancing, and he was really into that type of stuff.
Yeah, faith healing.
And again, I think he was already malleable as it was, and
malleable. That's the word. Yeah.
Everyone was mentioning, because the main thing that Mark Chapman has always said is that there was a fight on his jail cell floor between the good angels and the bad demons, and they're like little people. And he said that at the ending of the war, the angels won, and the little one crawled into his hand. He held it up to his ear, and the angel said, "Plead guilty." And this all was created, like he made it sound like it started when he was a kid. He was just seeing these visions and so these types of little people kingdom. He always started talking about it. But that was right after the doctor from MK Ultra visited him and spent like a couple sessions in his room. So again, unguarded, unwatched, no cameras or anything. And his family talked about it like, yeah, that wasn't part of his life at all. I don't know where people are getting that from. He never ever talked about this. But again, if all the evidence went to court, there was really nothing with like.
Yeah, because I suppose it could have been like hypnosis or drugs or anything.
And again, he could be crazy, but his wife's not helping either. Mark Chapman's wife has him like on lock, and apparently she reported to the she didn't report to the police the first time he said he was going to go kill John Lennon. He had a whole planned out thing, bought a plane ticket, and went to fly over there, and then flew back. He never did it the first attempt. So I'm like, you didn't think about raising this to the. And then she, in an interview, she says no because he said he'd never do it again,
and I believed him.
Bitch. What do you mean?
Oh,
we lost a hero.
Isn't this again? There's another type of fame where you're famous for doing something so heinous that
weird. Like the guy, there's another issue with fame in that, which is the doctor who lied for 30 years. If you like, I'll look it up right now, just so I can show it on here. It's not a clip or anything, but that's John. Anybody can type this in, but it's John Lennon's doctor lied, not real.
It's interesting that they would go after someone, I guess, because John Lennon, I guess, during the time was influencing quite a few people. But was he that big a deal to the government? So
yeah, News Nation interviewed him 6 months ago. A doctor who tried to save John Lennon's life speaks out on death anniversary. So there's a guy named Dr. Stephen Lynn who literally started saying that he was there massaging John Lennon's heart. He's been in all these John Lennon documentaries talking about massaging John Lennon's heart when he was dying. And, I loved seeing him in this, and it made up a whole concoction of a story. Anybody listening to this, you can just watch David Whelan's episodes on my show. He's explained it in depth. That guy lied for like 30 or 44 years. The real doctor was a doctor named David Halloran, and he came forward in this video that I'm about to show you and said, no, I was the doctor in that room. He was not there. And this one doctor had been claiming all this time. And based on all the other interviews of all the nurses that were actually in the room, they're like, yeah, he was not in there. But everyone just let him go and do his thing and just say that he did all this like massaging. He never did it. He was never there. He showed up at the ending when it was all over.
Why did they let him go, do you think?
I don't know. Probably because they all just dealt with a traumatic issue of John Lennon shooting, and now you got your boss going out there saying he's doing all this stuff when really he's not. Here.
Surgical resident who tried everything he could to save Lennon was Dr. David Halloran. Dr. Halloran is now a very experienced surgeon practicing in Syracuse, New York. He's also my special guest tonight as we count down to the anniversary of Lennon's murder this Sunday. Doctor, thank you so much for being on the program. I have always wondered what it was like to be you. Can you take me back to that night and to...
I've always wondered what it's like to be you.
Well, one, I don't wish anybody was me, and thank you for that. But yes, it was 44 years ago this Sunday. And just to set the scene, it was about 10:30 at night. I was in the hospital, just rounding or seeing a consult, and I get an overhead page stat to the ER. Now that's a little unusual since we all had beepers in those days, and usually you got beeped and you call the operator and they tell you what to do. So I go running down to the ER and I go, what's going on? And they go, we have a gunshot wound to the chest coming in. Didn't say who it was, just a gunshot wound to the chest. So I said, okay, we'll go to room 115, which is the trauma bay. Got the open thoracotomy tray out of the closet, which is a tray with all the instruments you would need for opening up a chest if need be. And we waited. We waited for several minutes. And then the other unusual thing was that there was no ambulance that came into the ambulance courtyard. It was a police car. They took him out of the back of the seat of the police car, put him on a stretcher and a gurney, and wheeled him into 115. Now, I remember he was wearing blue jeans. He had that iconic leather jacket on with a fur collar. Didn't know who it was. We weren't told who it was. And it's sort of like a rugby scrum. A lot of us descended on him at one time. I'm the senior resident on the scene, cut off the clothes, then just crack his chest. It was obvious that he had several gunshot wounds over his left chest, open his chest, looking for something that's salvageable. His heart was intact, but empty. and he had a lot of blood and clots in his chest. And we started working on him. We pumped his heart. People are starting IVs. Someone put a tube in to breathe for him. All this is going on. And we're into it about maybe 15 minutes before someone says, "Hey, that looks like John Lennon." And I said, "Nah, it can't be John Lennon." I said, "No, it looks like John Lennon." And then
I'm not gonna play the whole thing. I was trying to find where it said Stephen Lynn. If you look up, like up here, the AI says, based on the search results, a strong indication Stephen Lynn, the emergency department director at Roosevelt Hospital, who had been claimed to have performed surgery on and held John Lennon's heart, had been accused of lying about his role in attempts to save Lennon's life.
So what does that happen to you? Like, so here's a guy who's basically...
Even Yoko Ono disputed his account, but no offense, Yoko Ono's she can take a walk off a short cliff.
She, well, actually, her poetry is quite well known these days.
She put an art exhibit up where it was a piece of wood and a nail and had a hammer beside it, and then she hit the nail into the piece of wood. And I was like, if you really want participation, just stick the nail in your forehead and have some people really participate.
So here you have this guy who's made himself famous by saying he did something he didn't do. So that's another type of fame where you're like,
well, Zodiac Killer. How many people came forward saying they were the Zodiac Killer and they weren't?
And it's like, again, now there's one. Why would you do that? That's a fame that's sort of weird. Like people who want to be infamous, people who want to be they're serial killers because that's how they want to go out.
They just want notoriety.
Well, yeah, they want people to remember who they are, kind of thing. And who is it? I think it's got to be a TV show kind of thing, but they caught a serial killer, and nobody knew he was the killer of all these people. So the person who was prosecuting him said that we're going to bury this case. You're going to go to jail for a long, long time. Or no, he was going to death row. He was going to death row, but they said no one is ever going to know that you're the killer of these people. And he was like, "No, they got to know who I am. That's why I did it." And
well, they stopped publishing terrorist names on the news because they were giving them notoriety, and people are starting to do it because of notoriety.
Yeah,
fame's a fickle mistress, my friend. Do you want to ride the dragon on her, or do you want to take her down south?
And that's the thing, man. That's a very interesting thing. And so again, I'm a voiceover artist. I'm not going to be. I might be famous for some things that I do, but you remember, I think we had this conversation before about, the very first like famous voiceover person they put in a Disney movie was the guy who played the Mad Hatter. In fact, that character was designed for the Mad Hatter, and he was the only credited famous actor that people of that generation would recognize when they watched Alice in Wonderland. Because you didn't watch Disney movies for the voiceovers. You watched it for the story and the people and everyone that was in it. And then later on, I think it was like when they did Little Mermaid, they said, we're going to get a real singer for this. I can't even remember who they got for the singer of the Mermaid, but that was a big deal. That was a huge deal. And then after that, things just kind of went, blah, they exploded. And you had all these Disney movies and then you have movies like Bug's Life and this movie, and where, Madonna's doing voices and Willem Dafoe's doing voices, and everybody's doing voices for cartoons. And it wasn't until Toy Story came along where, even though Toy Story had famous voice actors in it, you weren't watching Toy Story for the voices. Like you didn't care that Tim Allen was Woody, and you didn't care that, the other guy was Buzz, and that wasn't important. And so it took sort of Pixar to do that. But things have sort of gone off the rails with a lot of voiceover stuff. It's sort of like people are, they're living their characters, and they're saying, they're putting their characters on their, their profiles. This is me. This is how I'm doing things. And they're trying to bump the character. And if you like the character, you like me and all the voices. And sometimes it is. I mean, in Genshin, for example, when they recast one of the main characters, Paimon, who's sort of like, she's like the narrator of the show in a way. That was a voice actress who, she buried her career so fast by saying some really, really stupid stuff. And she was recasted. And some people listened to the voice and went, "No, I can't do this. It's not the original one. I don't like it. I don't like it at all." And other people went, "Yeah, give it time." It'll be fine. And other people went, I don't give a shit. It's a voice. I don't care. I listen to the Japanese one. I don't care who it is. And so some people think they're much more famous than they are. Some people aren't aware of how famous they are. That's another good one. You try and run into people who aren't aware that they're famous, and they're very famous. Everybody knows who they are, and they're
You're
like,
famous.
nobody. Yeah, in some circles, yeah.
In my circle.
Where I get, there's those three guys who sit around the pub in the back going, yeah, that was a great episode of Mistress is Abandoned. Yeah, look, yeah.
I saw him chug a beer out of his ass.
Yeah, and then the other guy's like, yeah, I got to write him a letter. He keeps saying that word wrong. And you're like,
you get any positive ones?
I do sometimes. I get maybe 4 or 5 emails, like letters or emails a year, so it's not that big a deal. And it mainly happened with nuclear when I was first. I had like a toast episode of like I said nuclear so much that I fell into George Bush-itis and I was going nuclear and it was horrible. And the producers didn't catch it, I didn't catch it, and when it went out, I had a couple people sending me going, where did you go to school? Same place George Bush did? And I was like, no, I didn't. And then you kind of get ones that say you're saying this word wrong. And then you just have people going, I really like your show. Then lately, actually, I got something. The last thing I got was from some retired police officer somewhere who was like, people tell me I got a great voice. In fact, I sound a lot like you. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, so tell me how I can get into this business. I want to make some money. And I'm like, you do not go into voiceover to make money. Now, it is a type of job where you can make a lot of money. Like
there's OnlyFans.
Well, no, there's a guy if I'd stayed in North America, there's a wonderful voiceover actor named Mark Ryder. And you hear him on everything. His big thing is he does Shark Week. And I'd always wanted to do Shark Week, man. That was my thing. And then when I moved here to the UK, I have different competition. I have different stuff. But Mark Ryder would have been my competition if I'd stayed in Canada, kind of thing. But you hear him he does Dodge stuff. He does this. He's the voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's he's everywhere, kind of thing. But he has his own issues. Like he posted something on LinkedIn where he was talking about where there was a client who owed him like $240,000 and he had to take him to court. And you're like, 240, like just that number, like let's wrap your head around that for a moment, But then the fact that you have to fight for that and get it back, and that could be your year's worth of, he's got like a horse farm. He's one of his children is, I think, mentally challenged. He's got his own stuff going on, but he's also one of the the nicest guys. He's everywhere. He does his stuff. He's earned his place where he is. So I have people, getting a hold of me going, they love a lot of the stuff. Right now, I'm sort of famous in the student film market because I do a lot of student films. NYU, stuff like that, I'm on sort of like a roster thing where they get a hold of me. But a lot of those student films end up going to film festivals. So for me, it's just free advertising kind of thing. But famous, sometimes fame can get in your way because somebody will go, oh yeah, you're the guy from that. We don't want anyone recognizable. I've had that a couple of times. We don't want a recognizable voice. We want a nice voice, a good voice, but we don't want anything that's going to tie us to something else. Or like I did something for Nat Geo, and that was an interesting one because at that time they said, well, we don't want you to be too recognizable so people are thinking about Discovery when they're watching our shows. And that was another weird one. So when you get into that, but sometimes if you're just a voice, you're just a voice. And I like it. Do I want to be famous? No. I'm waiting for Out of the Blank to go viral. And,
we wait a long time. Jesus.
Well, maybe not. I don't think so. There's
apparently to Google, I've been doing this since 2018, which I did not realize.
Have you been? Is that how long you've been doing, or do you know?
I guess so. That's what it says.
It's, the one thing I did notice about being famous though is never read your reviews. Like I remember when I was acting, that was the one thing they told you: never read your reviews, just don't, kind of thing. You're going to get some good ones, but you're also going to get some really, really
Just
bad
say
ones.
that F you and give me that 5 stars, baby.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't care if you give me the finger, give me the 5 stars, baby. And that's sort of like my TripAdvisor. I don't care if it's a finger, just give me the 5 stars, and it's just like, yeah, you get into the moments like that. But I read my reviews on IMDb. And
I'll
I
leave you a couple. Everyone listening to this, go give Casper some love. Go on to IMDb. You leave this some sexy comments to him. You write him. You tell him that you love the feet pictures you got of him.
That's right, the
I want
feet
to hear it
pictures,
all.
baby. Oh man, yeah. I stopped reading because I realized the reviews actually weren't really about me. They were about the show and one particular person on the show. And I realized, oh, okay, if this is how this is going to go, then I'll just kind of stop
I'm
looking
gonna
at that.
leave. I'm gonna get Mark Chapman to review you. That's the only review you need.
Oh God.
I would have shot him if I knew.
Oh man. So what do you do when you get a famous person or an infamous person who vouches for you, kind of thing? And you're like,
As long as it's not like Jeffrey Dahmer, I think you're good.
well, that's the thing. Like, what happens if Jeffrey Dahmer says, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite ice cream. I love
What
it,"
happens if
kind of
Mel
thing?
Gibson is on your speed dial and he just comes out and wishes you like a? I mean, he's a great guy. It's like, do you really trust Mel Gibson's advice?
Mel, you know what? He's again a lot of. I don't know him very well or anything like that. I have a feeling a lot of his problems were alcohol related. I think he's had shows about that where he's talked about that. He's like some of his views that came out and things were alcohol induced. Um, and like you saw in that clip that you showed, he's just a nice guy, you know? He's opinionated, and the problem is Hollywood doesn't like opinions. We're in an industry where they don't really want opinions. Like, you know what? I don't give a shit. Like, here's another thing about fame. You're a famous actor, so you feel it is your responsibility to tell me how to vote. But you know nothing about politics. You know nothing about the law. Yet you're going to tell me who the best person to vote for is because you're a famous actor. And it's like, no, that's garbage. But that's the whole thing about, or influencers. That's the whole point of influencers. You get influencers who are going to tell you to swing a certain way or do a certain thing or buy a certain product. And these people, a lot of influencers, not all of them, because I think you have to be a certain level of smart to be an influencer. Although you've seen some dumb influencers. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've seen people on there who are just popular for being popular, but they're not very smart. And what's happening lately is a lot of those unsmart influencers are burning themselves, kind of thing. And they're, this whole distinction between, like, you can be a famous leftist, a famous right. And the problem is if you get too famous on one side, you end up cycling back to the other side. I think the left and right is just hilarious, the way that they go at each other. But who knows? There's a lot of, like, right now there's a whole with Twitch is going this thing with streamers and all that kind of stuff. They're going at each other, and I realized that that's a level of fame that most normal people don't get. I think we don't really do that, do we? Like how famous Twitch people are, like how famous Instagram influencers are. I think you're the normies that they call them or whatever. I think most people have no idea that there's this whole undercurrent of culture where these people are famous because they're famous because they show themselves online. They're not famous for anything that they do. They're not really famous for, you know, there's one guy who's famous because he leaves the room and they call them chair streams. That's why he's famous. And you're like, that's just nuts. Robbie, thank you very much for having me on your show today.
Jesus, what the hell was that? Just gave up on that thought, didn't you?
No, I'm just saying that's always because you were saying you got to go. So we'll cut it.
Yeah, there are good people here. Kasper, it's been a pleasure chatting with you again, my friend. Hate to wrap it up so soon. We could talk for hours like we usually do. I'm sure we'll do another one. But thank you again, my friend, for giving me the time. I'm going to link all your links in the description below. People can click and find all of Kasper's links. And like I said, go to his IMDb. send him a little message, give him a little review, give him some love. You know, he'll do anything for you as long as it's not super dirty. Thank you, Kasper, again. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank.